While Raleigh, North Carolina remains one of the most popular places to move to in the entire United States, for some people, Raleigh can be a little bit too much. And those people ask us to help them find something in a little more quiet, more rustic, suburban setting. On today's video, we're gonna take a look at why so many people are leaving Raleigh, North Carolina for the suburbs around Raleigh. Starting with a quieter, slower pace of life. Again, Raleigh is one of the fastest growing cities in the entire United States. And for people who have lived in Raleigh for a number of years or were born here, you can imagine the dramatic changes that have happened over the past 10, 20 years. I know I've been here since the early 90s, and it's barely recognizable in most places of Raleigh. Now Raleigh is becoming a bigger city with lots of the bigger city issues like traffic, crowding, and that god-awful road construction. And it's also a little harder to just in general get around in Raleigh these days. Finding a parking space in, say, North Hills or downtown Raleigh can be a bit of a challenge. Finding a last-minute reservation at a nice or even halfway nice restaurant in Raleigh these days can be a bit of a challenge. So for people that find this aggravating and don't want to deal with the hustle and bustle, moving to one of the smaller towns around Raleigh makes a lot of logical sense. Another reason a lot of people are leaving Raleigh is they can work from home. In the past, you had to live in a larger city to get high-speed internet, but things are changing. Now, you can very well live in one of the smaller, more rural towns around Raleigh and have high-speed internet, which makes working from home easier and less of a hassle than it used to be in the past. So for those reasons, for people that want that slower pace of life, moving to the more rural suburbs is a really good idea, especially if you work from home. Another major reason people are leaving Raleigh, moving to the smaller areas, larger homes on bigger lots. So one of the biggest requests we get from out-of-state people and locals that want to make that move to the around somewhere in the triangle is they want to be on a larger lot where they're not touching the neighbor next door. I envision that Grey Poupon commercial for all you folks that remember that, where the guy hands the thing of yellow mustard to the car next door. That's the vibe that a lot of people don't like about Raleigh, that the newer homes are sitting on tighter lots. So to get a larger lot, you're gonna need to move to a more rural suburb around Raleigh. Furthermore, a lot of people want a bigger house. They wanna say pay X dollars, but they wanna get a bigger footprint for those X dollars than they would in Raleigh. Unfortunately in Raleigh, you're gonna be on a smaller lot, and your home price per square foot is gonna likely be less than it would be in, say, Clayton, Garner, some of the other cities out and about. And so for people that want bigger lots, larger homes, the suburbs are very, very often a very good option for them. And along those same lines, another big reason people are choosing the suburbs and leaving Raleigh is it's easier to raise a family. So if you've got little tiny kids, it may be fine to live in, say, downtown Raleigh, really cool, easy walkability. But unfortunately, a lot of those bedrooms, secondary bedrooms in downtown Raleigh are like 10 by 10, 11 by 11. And that's all well and good when your kid is like 2 foot tall, 3 foot tall. But when your kid is like 6 foot tall, that gets to be an issue. So it's necessary for a lot of people to have, as we just talked about, those larger homes with better, more favorable price per square foot options, bigger square footages. For those people that have kids, older kids, it may be necessary to move to the suburbs so you can get bigger bedrooms, bigger secondary bedrooms, easier for those kids to live and be a little bit more comfortable. Beyond that, you're gonna have easy accessibility to a lot of playgrounds and fun things that even the little kids, or especially the little kids, really, really enjoy. You're gonna find those very plentifully in the suburbs around Raleigh, making it a very compelling case for someone who wants to raise a family to do so around Raleigh instead of in Raleigh. Another reason people are leaving Raleigh for the suburbs, they want a more community-focused neighborhood to live in. So almost all of the new construction neighborhoods that are happening these days in the Raleigh Triangle area are happening in the suburbs around Raleigh, not in Raleigh. And almost all of these new neighborhoods are very community focused. And by community focused, I mean these neighborhoods have really stepped up their amenities. And this is especially so for neighborhoods that have come online post-pandemic. Now, you definitely can find neighborhoods in Raleigh that have great amenities like pools and tennis and sidewalks. I'm thinking of Bedford at Falls River in North Raleigh. But these new construction neighborhoods really put a focus on these amenities, such as community pools, tot lots, dog parks, sidewalks, pickleball courts, and also regular community events like neighborhood farmers markets and like holiday festivities, all that sort of thing. Really cool community structured events that not only make you a neighbor to someone else, but encourage you to become a friend with someone else. And what's really cool is these were features that you used to only find in luxury neighborhoods, high-end neighborhoods. But now, with these new neighborhoods coming online in the suburbs, they're trying to be compelling to bring people in to buy in their neighborhoods. So you're getting all of these features, and you're getting it in not only the luxury neighborhoods, but also the non-luxury neighborhoods as well. And by the way, we have a ton of people contact us from our YouTube videos here, asking for our help finding them the right area that would work for them. We would love to help you out as well. Please give us a call or text. We'd love to help you find your dream neighborhood and your dream home. The next reason people are moving from Raleigh to the suburbs, more affordable housing. We've kind of touched on this a little bit throughout this video, but let's face it, Raleigh is not the cheapest place to live in North Carolina. The median home price for a home in the Raleigh city limits is currently coming in at $460,000. When you compare that to the big four counties overall, that is Wake, Durham, Orange, and Johnson counties, the median price for homes in all those four major counties is coming in at $440,000. So again, median home price about a $20,000 difference. But let's take this a little deeper and compare it to prices in specific cities in the suburbs around Raleigh. In Clayton, median home price is coming in at $360,000. In Garner, the median home price is currently coming in at $420,000. And in Wendell, median home price is currently coming in at $390,000. And bear in mind, while these numbers do not sound dramatically different than the $460,000 median price that you're going to get in Raleigh, remember that these suburbs have a lot of new construction, and typically new construction prices are higher than resale prices. In fact, a whopping 49% of the homes in these suburbs we've mentioned are new construction homes, whereas in Raleigh, only 22% of the homes are new construction homes. So those new construction numbers are definitely skewing the data that we just gave you a bit, meaning you can definitely get a lower priced home out in the suburbs than you can get in Raleigh as long as you go the resale route. Now, unfortunately, with resale, you're not going to get the builder home warranty, the new home smell, all of the brand new appliances, and all of the things with new construction, which is why a lot of people choose new construction out in the suburbs. But just know that there are options out in the suburbs where you can save a considerable amount of money from living in the Raleigh city limits. Also, bear in mind, these prices we just quoted you do not take into account anything like price per square foot or size of homes. Again, in the suburbs, homes tend to be larger, so you're going to get the benefit of a larger home on a larger lot for generally less money, or at least less price per square foot, than you're gonna see inside the city limits of Raleigh. Another reason people are leaving Raleigh for the suburbs are now more livable than they used to be. For many years, living in this Triangle Raleigh area, dealing with finding a hospital was an issue. Many times you would have to drive into Raleigh, which sometimes could take up to an hour if you needed medical care. Now, with medical and hospitals springing up in many of the suburbs, you can be to a hospital, to an emergency room, to medical care in just a matter of minutes from most of the suburbs around Raleigh. As well, multiple different grocery store options have become available in the suburbs as well. Used to be you were stuck with maybe one or two grocery stores in the small town you were living in. Used to be, if you wanted to go to Costco and you lived in, say, Fuquay, Varina, or Garner, you had to drive all the way into Raleigh, or you had to drive to the Costco in Cary, Apex. But now, there's a Costco on the border of Fuquay-Varina and Garner, making it very, very easy for those folks to get into Costco without having to do a lot of drive time. This is just one of the examples of how easier it is to live out in the suburbs and get the amenities you want, making it a lot easier to do the things you want to do and have the lifestyle you want to have and be able to do it in the suburbs versus having to live in the city limits of Raleigh. Another reason people are choosing the suburbs, there's more inventory in the suburbs. We've already talked about new construction being about 49% of the inventory out in the suburbs. Well, that helps overall inventory levels. In the Raleigh city limits, supply of homes is quite tight. It's very difficult to find a home in the city limits of Raleigh currently. In the suburbs, there's more options, making it easier for you to decide where you want to live, what floor plan you want. In Raleigh, you unfortunately have very limited options and you have to pick from those limited options. And so, of course, this is not the case in the suburbs, which is driving people to move in that direction. Another reason people are fleeing Raleigh for the suburbs, there's more natural, spacious green areas out in the suburbs. For people who like going outdoors, hiking, and getting some fresh air, there's definitely a lot of options, a lot of more options out in the suburbs. Now, this is not to say that Raleigh doesn't have its share of parks and lakes and sidewalks and really great outdoor activities, but if you're the type of person that wants to partake in the great outdoors, but you want a little bit of elbow room when you do it, the suburbs is probably going to be a better option for you. There's less people, just as many or oftentimes a goodly bit of parks and recreation activities out in the suburbs, but without all the crowding you're going to have in the city limits of Raleigh. Another reason people are leaving Raleigh and headed to the suburbs, you don't have to live in the Raleigh city limits to enjoy all the benefits of living in the Raleigh city limits. And by that I mean, you don't have to live right in Raleigh if you want to go to, say, Capitol Grill for a nice romantic steak dinner. You may have a 30-minute drive to get into Raleigh to go to that Capitol Grill restaurant, but that's quite doable. It's not necessary that you live in the city limits to have that kind of a quality date night. Just have a little bit of drive time. And of course, there's more things to do in Raleigh than just Capitol Grill, but that's just an example of the drive time that you would need to live in, say, Garner, Clayton, drive into Capitol Grill, have dinner, maybe go to a movie and then head back home. So you've got drive time, but again, this is doable and you're trading the convenience of getting to that Capitol Grill in, say, 5 or 10 minutes. You're trading that convenience for having a larger home on a larger lot in a quieter setting out in the suburbs. And for some people, this trade-off is very, very worth it. Another reason that people are leaving Raleigh for the suburbs, the changing culture. So if you grew up in Raleigh or you've been here for 20 or 30 years, you were used to a quieter pace of life back then. Raleigh was a smaller city. You could easily get from point A to point B with a lot less hassle. It was easy to walk into a restaurant of any kind and sit right down. You didn't need a reservation a week or two in advance. It was just a slower pace of life. Well, Raleigh has changed, as we've kind of touched on here in this video. We're now becoming a bigger city with a lot more hustle and a lot more bustle. It's getting a little bit more crowded than it was in the past. So if you want that slower pace of life, you want small town America, in most cases, you're not going to be able to find that in the city limits of Raleigh. You're going to want to look in some of the suburbs out and around Raleigh and then come into Raleigh to enjoy all the amenities of Raleigh without all of that hustle and bustle on a day-to-day basis that you would have to live with. Now, please don't take this video as us saying that living out in the suburbs is way, way better than living in Raleigh. That's not at all what we're saying. There are definitely a lot of benefits to living in the city limits of Raleigh, such as there's just more things to do in Raleigh than in most of the suburbs. North Hills, downtown Raleigh, Crabtree Valley Mall area, and more things sprouting up all of the time. We in fact live on the outskirts of Raleigh in Wake Forest, and we're actively looking to move back to Raleigh because we like being able to easily access the restaurants and the shops and the whatever that you can find in places in Raleigh without having to drive 30-40 minutes to get there. We went to the new Hot Pot restaurant down by Crabtree last night, and it was a 35-minute drive at 6:30 at night to get there. It was ridiculous. It shouldn't take that long. That's just something you have to accept if you live out in the suburbs, but if you live closer to that area and be there in about 15 minutes, 10 minutes, that to me sounds pretty cool. Another great thing about living in Raleigh, there's just a lot of growth going on. Lots of changes happening. New restaurants, new shops, new things to do are sprouting up all the time. And in fact, we had planned to film a video on all of the new things that were coming to Raleigh, North Carolina. That was going to be one of our videos we were going to put out very, very soon. Unfortunately, as we started doing research on this project, it went from being a couple of pages worth of new cool things going on in Raleigh to being over 7.5 pages of things going on in Raleigh. So we're having to rejigger the video to split it into 2 parts. I tell you this story to say, Raleigh is not a stagnant city. There's many, many cities in the United States that are declining and are stagnant and no new things are happening. That's not the case in Raleigh. If you want really cool new things coming from all over everywhere, or local restaurateurs or shop owners having new concepts pop up, Raleigh is definitely a great place to live. And also, Raleigh has a lot of the benefits we've mentioned throughout this video, such as new construction. However, bear in mind, most of the new construction that's going on in Raleigh right now is of the luxury stuff, the higher end, which also kind of segues into another sort of con of a lot of the suburbs. That is, it's difficult to find a high-end luxury neighborhood, if that's what you're looking for, out in the suburbs. Now, granted, there is certainly a lot of high-end stuff in Cary and Apex and Wake Forest, Durham, Chapel Hill, etc. But by and large, if you're looking in one of the more rural suburbs, it's going to be difficult to find high-end luxury neighborhoods. Those are going to pretty much be relegated to not only the cities we just talked about, but especially in the city limits of Raleigh. That all being said, if you're looking for a slower pace of life, new construction home on a larger lot with a larger footprint, then the Raleigh suburbs are likely a better fit for you. However, if you want more of that hustle and bustle, you want to be in an exciting, growing city where things are changing all the time and you get to try new things, and are really not concerned about the size of your house, you're more concerned about the amenities around your house, then the Raleigh city limits are likely to be a very good fit for you. Either way, give us a call or text. We would love to set up a video call with you to guide you through the process of finding your next home, either in the city limits of Raleigh or in the surrounding areas. And by the way, check out this video. We think you're really gonna like this one as well. Of course, like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.